Welcome back. In order to be able to solve these types of problems, there are some unit conversion factors you just have to know. You can feel free to look through lesson 8 and see the unit conversion factors that are used in the unit, but I'm going to encourage you to memorize as many of these unit conversion factors as you have to. I'll share with you some of the ones that you should have memorized in this lesson. But let's just take a look here. So we're going to start with letter A. And in this one, we have a mourning dove able to reach speeds of 35 miles. Notice I'm going to write this out per hour. Okay, miles per hour. Now this is a little bit confusing because it's miles per hour and there's two units here, miles and hours. But we're changing it to feet per hour, so we're actually only changing miles. If we wanted to get rid of hours entirely and get rid of this label out of here, we could just deal in miles and we'd be okay. All right, so what are we going to do with this? Well, I need to multiply it by a conversion factor that's going to allow me to convert miles to feet. And this is one that you should have memorized. There are 5,280 feet per 1 mile. Now, whenever you pick a conversion factor, you have to ask yourself, did I do it right or did I do it wrong? Do I need to flip it upside down? We need to take a look at this one and make that judgment. Do I flip it upside down or do I just multiply straight across? Well, let's cancel out things. I see that this mile down here is going to cancel a mile in the numerator. Okay, and then what am I left with? I'm left with feet on top and hours on the bottom. So I'll be left with feet per hour. That's what I'm going for. So here I have to multiply 35 times 5,280. Now I'm not going to waste your time doing this on screen. I've done so many of these on screen. You know how to do long multiplication. So I'm just really quickly going to calculate and check this one. It's just 35 times 5,280 gives me 184,800. So when I multiply these, it equals 184,800 feet per hour. But I suppose I would expect that it's going to be a really big amount because we change miles per hour. Miles are a pretty big unit, a big distance to cover. We change that to feet per hour, which is a really small distance to cover. So it's going to be a lot of feet per hour. All right, so this was letter A. I'm just going to note that over here by adding it in a text box. And let's move on to letter B. In B, we have an interior wall measuring 4.5 yards by 3.25 yards. Now, here's one way that you can do these types of problems without having to multiply by a conversion factor twice. I could convert 4.5 and 3.25 to feet straight away. What is that going to look like? Let me just borrow our old problem here. I could probably do this a little easier by just bringing this down. So let's see. Oops, hold on. All right, so what I'm going to do is say, I'm going to start with 4.5 yards. And I'm going to multiply that by a conversion factor to change that to feet. I need to multiply 4.5 yards times 3 feet per yard. Let's see if that works. Well, yards down here is going to cancel with yards up here. So that's good. And I'm left with feet for this unit. So I'm going to go ahead and add in my fraction bar. And if I do that multiplication, I can actually do that one in my head. 4.5 times 3 is 13.5. So this is going to equal 13.5 feet. Okay, so instead of yards, I write 13.5 feet. 13.5 feet. I'm going to do the same thing with the other measure, okay? So I need to do the same thing with, let's see, instead of 4.5 yards, the other measure is in, let's see, 3.25 yards. So let's do 3.25 yards times 3 feet per yard. And let's see, can I figure that one out in my head? It's going to be 9.75 yards. 9.75 feet, I'm sorry, 9.75 feet. 3.25 times 3. All right, now I know how many feet this dimension is. I know how many feet this dimension is. All I need to do is multiply those feet together. And again, I'm just going to do this off screen here. 13.5 times 9.75 gives me a value 131.625. So I'm going to do 131.625. Feet times feet is square feet. So my unit label is going to be feet squared with an exponent there. Letter C. Della has a small bag containing 50 cubic centimeters of potting soil. Cubic centimeters. Okay, so this is going to be a multiple time multiplication. Her planter has a volume of 46,300 cubic millimeters. Does Della have enough soil to fill the planter? So all I need to do here is change 50 cubic centimeters to cubic millimeters, and that will tell me if I have that, and then that number, if it's bigger than 46,300, yes, I have enough to fill. If it's smaller than that number, then no, I do not. All right, now the easy way to do this one is to do two conversions. The first thing I'm going to convert is from centimeters. So it's going to be, I know there's 100 centimeters in a meter, or 1 meter per 100 centimeters. This means that I'm dividing. Whenever I have a number on the bottom like this, I'm dividing. So I'm going to start by doing 50 divided by 100. And that's going to give me the amount in meters. But wait a second, it's cubic. I actually put a square there. It's cubic meters and centimeters. So I actually need to do this calculation because it's cubic. I need to do this 3 times. And that's going to change it to cubic meters, a really small number of cubic meters. Okay, now after I do that, I've canceled off all of my cubic centimeters and changed to, I've canceled off all of my cubic centimeters and I've changed to cubic meters. 1, 2, 3. And I have 1, 2, 3 of these centimeters terms that are on the denominator here. Cancel, cancel, cancel. All right. Now, what am I going to do next? Well, I'm still not done yet. I need to multiply this again, but this time I'm going to multiply a different direction. I need to multiply to change this to millimeters. And I know that there are 1,000 millimeters per meter. That's 1,000 millimeters per meter. All right. I think I forgot to get rid of some zeros here. That's 1,000 millimeters per meter. Okay. And what this does is it changes I get rid of all 3 of these meters and I'm left with millimeters cubed. So I have to divide by 100 3 times and then multiply by 1,000 3 times. Let's see what that does. 50 divided by 100, divided by 100, divided by 100. Ooh, really small number. Times 1,000, times 1,000, times 1,000. And I'm left with 50,000. I'm left with 50,000 cubic millimeters. Okay, so that's my answer, is 50,000 cubic millimeters. Let me just put that in here. So 50,000 millimeters cubed. Yes, it will fill the pot because it's greater than the amount of the pot. And then lastly, oh man, this one doesn't even use distances. I wonder if I'm even going to be able to solve letter D. But it's still a conversion problem. Arthur just returned from London. He has 16 British pounds to convert to American dollars. If the exchange rate is 1 pound equals $2 and let's see, it's almost 2 cents, $2.016. What is the value of Arthur's 16 pounds? Okay, so 1 pound equals 2.016. What that means is I can turn that into a fraction, and that fraction is equal to 1. Now, what number do I want to put on the top, and what number do I want to put on the bottom? If I put a number on the top, let me just copy one of my old fractions here. So whatever I put on the top is going to be the number that we keep. Whatever I put on the bottom is going to cancel, and I need to cancel pounds. So what am I going to do here? Well, let's see. I'm going to put 1 pound on the bottom and $2 and let's see, dollar sign 2.016 on the top. And then I'm just going to multiply 16 pounds times $2.016 per pound. Let's see what that gives me. Here, well, hold on. Let me just make sure I get in the right spot here. So it's going to be 16 times 2.016. That's $32.26. I have to round to an actual dollars and cents figure. So I can get $32.26. Actually, they probably round down when they gave me my money and give me $32.25 because they don't want to give me the extra cent. All right, that's how you work these sorts of problems. You need to choose conversion factors and then use the conversion factors in multiplication correctly to cancel what you're not looking for and keep what you are looking for. And remember, if you have square or cubic units, you need to multiply 2 times by a conversion factor for a square and 3 times for a cube.